Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about content predictions slash, I guess I could call them requests here in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM for this weekend's drop. I assume, I could be wrong, but I assume we're not going to see a festival tomorrow. I could absolutely be wrong about that, but I know we have gotten two consecutive 2-week-long festivals that started on the second Friday of season 7, and then obviously the fourth Friday of season 7 we got the Festival of Champions, and those were back to back. There was no week without a festival in between, but I do think we're going to see a week without a festival this weekend, because this is the last week of season 8 or of season 7 before season 8. Generally 2K doesn't drop a they haven't, as of recently anyway, done something like that and dropped a festival at the end of the season. But also, it is possible. We could absolutely see like an NBA draft themed festival. If 2K is just like, we're doing festivals every 2 weeks for the rest of the year, no matter what, then maybe we do see one tomorrow, and maybe it's a NBA draft themed festival, with the draft being a week from Wednesday, a week from yesterday as y'all watch this video. Realistically, what we're seeing is, I think there's a real possibility that we do see some sort of draft centered festival. Now, I hope we don't. I would be very happy personally to not get any sort of festival. I hope that's what happens, honestly. I mean, for content wise, for views, a festival wouldn't be bad, but in terms of just like, I would not mind a normal Friday drop where 2K isn't absolutely just trying to grab at our pockets any more than normal. Again, I'm not spending money whether there's a festival or not, but the only thing they could really do that would truly anger me would be if they somehow put Cooper Flag behind a paywall to where the only way you can get him is spend a bunch of money, like with these festival players. If they did that, I would be so mad as a Mavs fan. Oh my goodness. I mean, just as a NBA fan and a IRL basketball and like looking forward to the NBA draft and next content like the way it's been the last few years, if they screw it up like that, that would be extremely frustrating. But either way, we're obviously going to be getting at least one GOAT card tomorrow. My prediction is, again, my predictions are just based off of no event tomorrow, but we're going to see probably one GOAT card, 3 Invincibles, 300 or 400 overalls, and then 4 Dark Matters as well. It'll look very similar, I would think, to last week. Probably 4 Dark Matters, 4 Opals, 4 Pink Diamonds, and 4 100 overalls, as well as again, I don't know if we'll have event pieces for like getting Hoff boxes and Invincible player this week. I don't think we're going to get this, but my thought number one is that I think we need a couple of positional upgrades in terms of attainable cards. That's the most important thing. I'll start with the attainable cards because, again, I think they're the most important aspect of a drop. And 2K's done a okay job as of late with attainable cards. Obviously, the champion set, Ron Harper's an absolute stud. Dolph Schayes and Chris Middleton are both pretty good cards too. Trevor Ariza and Sean Livingston are really nice, super budget, like 5K Galaxy Opals as well. This past week, we get the downtown drop, which Steven Jackson's really good and affordable. Reggie Theus isn't great, but the idea is okay. Taka Fall's a monster, but he's not an attainable card. I would not obviously consider a guy who's going for over 600K base still attainable. And then Trey Murphy's very attainable. And like there are some fine Pink Diamonds, or fine Galaxy Opals and really good Pink Diamonds in this drop as well. Jamal McGlory, Darius Singela are both absolute studs for Pink Diamonds. And they dropped Rick Smits this week too, who is like technically probably overall an attainable card. Yes, I would say base, you can get him for under 500 KMT, but he's on the more expensive end when it comes to that. But overall, I do think 2K's done an okay job with it recently. That being said, Ron Harper is the only high-level attainable point guard we've gotten all season, and he's only 6'6". I don't think there's a single other point guard 2K's dropped this season that's truly been a stud attainable card. Maybe Evan Turner is like a super budget option, and maybe Elgin Baylor if you're willing to pay more MT, but I'm really hoping we see something along the lines of a Dark Matter big PG this weekend. And I truly don't even really know who that player would be. It feels like it'd have to be somebody who's like borderline out of position, kind of the way that Denny Avdia obviously is, but 2K's done that before. But the thing is, if you look by height, like it pretty much has to be one of a couple guys. Otherwise, it's got to be somebody out of position. Like if they were to drop it to Souped, Jeremy Sohan, Delano Banton, Dyson Daniels, those are about the only names I really have. Maybe an Anthony Black, but he did just get a card last season. Guys like that with size are pretty much the type of PGs at this point that we need at a high level. Like a Dark Matter Delano Banton would be an absolute godsend for the budget players out there. High level jumper, big, versatile, athletic, quality defender, switchable, well-rounded. I mean, that would be a stud card. I feel like we need a card like that because as great as Denny Avdia is, and I do think he's really, really good. I think he's one of the best couple Galaxy Opals in the game, and I think he's an extremely elite attainable point guard. Be nice to have a couple of better options, to be totally honest, at this point in the game. Guys who can maybe put the ball on the floor a little bit more while still providing that size and defensive switchability with a high level shot. It's the evolution of the game. You want cards to always continue to get better, and when there's so many elite level unattainable PGs, you want to see some of those attainable options as well. So that's my number one request, is that we see somebody like Banton or Daniels or Anthony Black or whoever else it may be as those big versatile athletic point guards this weekend. As long as we see one of those guys, I'd be pretty happy, in all honesty, with this Friday drop. The second archetype of player that I'd like to see is, again, and I'll keep mentioning these players probably every single week until at least one of them gets a card, but it's the tall small forward, the 6'10" to 7 foot small forward, switchable elite budget card as well. Somebody like a Dark Matter Danny Ferry or a Dark Matter Jonathan Bender. Guys like that would be extremely good options of those. Guys are going to have high level jumpers, be elite level shooters, and be really big, versatile, switchable defenders. Maybe put them all on the floor as well. Guys who are going to compete again with those invincible small forwards without running you 2-3 million MT. That's what we're looking for. I'd be willing to pay a little bit more extra for a Dark Matter. I'd be willing to pay 400K for an elite Dark Matter instead of them dropping 4 mediocre Dark Matters personally. And I mean, I would love to see a Jonathan Bender. I would love to see a Danny Ferry. Either one of those guys have the potential to be studs as well. So I'm really hoping we see one of those guys tomorrow. But at the end of the day, the top tier cards are likely to be, at this point, again, I would say probably pretty underwhelming at the 100 overall. It'll be just random guys throughout NBA history who are good, but not unbelievably insane players, in all honesty, or potentially maybe really great players who are undersized. We've seen a lot of 100 overalls at this point in the game, though. I mean, we have 69 different 100 overall cards. So even factoring in that Tim Duncan is one of those, and there's 2 of him, you have 68 different players that have gotten 100 overalls, but I'm sure they'll find a few more options throughout NBA history to give cards to. Who those are going to be, I really have no idea. Hopefully there's a couple of solid ones, because attainable good 100 overalls are nice, and we're getting to the point where more and more hundreds are becoming very, very attainable. So that's a W. Again, wouldn't even mind a 100 overall, like 100 overall version of one of those point guards I was talking about, or a Danny Ferry or a Jonathan Bender or somebody like that. Again, would be nice and probably would become at least somewhat affordable at this point in the year. In terms of Invincibles, excuse me, I think probably I'm honestly not totally 100% sure who we're going to see at this point. It feels like it's going to be guys who don't have 100 overalls yet, who don't have Dark Matter, or maybe are Dark Matter or 100 overall and haven't gotten those top tier cards yet. Potentially, like, for example, a James Harden makes sense to me. He's a guy who hasn't gotten a card in a while, would make sense. A Penny Hardaway got one of the first 100 overalls, hasn't gotten 100 overalls since he was in the fan favorite set at the beginning of season 6. That's like over 2 months ago now. Actually, that's almost 3 months ago now. Guys like that, I would expect to see somebody like that at the point guard position. 2K loves to drop their point guard Invincibles as well. Just guards in general. There are only a few bigs and wings, really true wings, true bigs. There just aren't that many of them compared to all the point guards and shooting guards. So I'd expect we're going to see at least 1 point guard and shooting guard, maybe even 2. Who knows? But I do hope again that we see a couple of like solid cards that are going to be, I think generally speaking, the Invincibles are too expensive. So it doesn't really matter that much who they drop, but I hope it's somebody good. That I will say. And then for the GOAT player, last week we got David Robinson. The week before we got Michael Jordan as our first 2 in-pack GOAT cards. I do think we'll probably see a wing here. And honestly, the name to me, I know he got a card relatively recently, so maybe it's a little bit too soon, but the name that immediately pops into mind for me is Larry Bird. One of the greatest players in NBA history, does not have an Invincible. Most of the superstar players at this point, or a lot of the superstar players, do have Invincibles in some form. Feel like a guy like Larry, who's a 100 overall, would make sense. I'm sure there are a lot of other options, but for whatever reason, that's the name that's popping into my mind this week. I feel like a Larry Bird GOAT card makes sense to me. And you know what? We will see what happens either way. Let me know what y'all think we're going to get tomorrow. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.